Welcome back, fans. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. And I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Coming to you live to tape 25 feet below the surface of the earth, here for another episodic YouTube adventure on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel for Chaos Corner. This is going to be a classic episode as we delve back into the legendary Toad's Place. Stories from New Haven's famed music venue, co-authored by co-owner Brian Phelps and columnist Randall Beach. Now, if you go back here on the channel and check through the playlist, I've already covered the first 4 chapters here on the legendary Toad's Place. Now, you guys and gals know that back in the early to mid 80s and then again in the early 90s, I had 2 stints of working security at the famed music venue. Now, it was January 12th on 1990 that this event took place, this historical event, and I was reminded by my old buddy, music aficionado, John Zimmerman. Thanks, Zim. Perfect timing as we get here and we sit down and we review Chapter 5, Bob Dylan, all night long. Sit back and grab a beverage, grab a coffee, grab a bagel or an omelet, and let's read this together for the very first time. Let me have a sip of the coffee first. I gotta be bing, bing, bing like Ricochet Rabbit, because this right here is gonna be a legendary episode of Chaos Corner. I can't thank you guys and gals enough for being here and sharing this together. So come on back to Chaos Corner. All right, fans. Music fans, let's jump right into it, because this isn't only a pro wrestling channel for the IWC, because it's me. It's the GOC. Stand by, fans. Exactly 5 months after we had the Stones, we got Bob Dylan for a mind-blowing 4 hours and 20 minutes. He gave the crowd 50 songs. This remains the longest show that Dylan has ever done. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Let that marinate. And it was his first club date in many years. Not since 1975, when Dylan performed at New York City's Folk City to open his Rolling Thunder Review Tour, had he played for a club audience. He called his night with us a practice session, a rehearsal for his upcoming world tour. But for the lucky people who were at Toad's that night, it was a gift from God, a night never to be forgotten. Once again, it was Jimmy Koplick who made it happen for us. He recalls, I had been friendly with Dylan's manager for a number of years, and he called me with the thought of Bob doing a warm-up show for his upcoming tour. Since it was only a few months after the Stones played at Toad's, that's right, the Stones, my suggestion for Toad's was met with much enthusiasm. We designated our friends at New Haven's WPLR to announce the show. On Wednesday, January 10th, 1990, 2 days before it happened, WPLR broke the news at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 minutes before we opened our box office. That was the only place fans could buy a ticket. Moments later, we were streaming towards Toad's. They were double parked and triple parked outside on York Street to get in line. Go ahead and tow my car, fans were yelling. I don't care. 18 minutes after we began selling tickets, they were gone. Only 750 people would be allowed in, but I'm guessing it was closer to 1,000 that night. Tickets cost $18.50 each. Think about that as we go through the inflation calculator here in 2025. This is today's what, January 15th, I believe, 14th, 15th, 16th. I don't know. I'm as confused as a baby at Hooters. Under $20 to see Bob Dylan back in 1990. But nobody, including us, had a clue how long Dylan would perform. Mike later told the New Haven Register, "I never expected this in a million years." He said we had thought Dylan would play one set, starting at, 8 or 8:30, after which we would hold our usual Friday night dance party. Instead, people were dancing to Dylan way past midnight. "It was a magical night," co-owner Spernoodle said. "I don't think it could ever be duplicated." And he was right. It wasn't just the sheer length of the performance that made it special. On this night, for whatever reason, the often reclusive Dylan was in a great mood. He joked with the crowd. He even took requests. "I never saw him smile before," longtime Dylan fan Joel Evans told the New Haven Register. Keeping things loose and casual, Dylan brought in with him a small, tight band consisting of G.E. Smith, a New Haven native who was then a regular on the band for Saturday Night Live, along with Tony Garnier and Christopher Parker. How about that for useless tidbits of information here from the GOC? The crowd never knew what to expect or what was coming next, which was part of the fun. When the band came on stage at 8:45 p.m., they opened with an old Joe South hit from the 70s, "Walk a Mile in My Shoes." This was followed by the first Dylan songs of the night, "One More Cup of Coffee" and "Rainy Day Women" number 12 and 35. Speaking of "One More Cup of Coffee," let's get into the mood, man. It doesn't get much better than Dylan. Zim, I'm going to tag you on Facebook when I'm done with this, and hopefully you'll post it, because I know you are a huge Dylan fan. I mean, what have you seen him, Zim? About 50 times? That AI mechanical bitch, you know I have heat with her, right? We're going to have to deal with this. Dylan pulled a slew of his other numbers out of his hat, but some were obscure, including Lenny Bruce from 1981. "I Dreamed I Saw St. Augustine" from his 1967 country album, John Wesley Harding, and I Heard That, "Lonesome Whistle" from his coffee house days in Greenwich Village. Dylan finished his first set at 9:40 p.m. We all figured, "Okay, Bob, thanks. See you down the road sometime." But then he asked us if he could play another set. We told him, sure, go for it. And so he delighted the crowd by coming back on stage at around 10 o'clock and performing "Watching the River Flow," the only time during the marathon that Dylan picked up an acoustic guitar. The second set also included "Across the Borderline," a John Hyatt, Ry Cooder, and Jim Dickinson song. Just before 11 p.m., Dylan finished his second set with "All Along the Watchtower." Again, we thought, that's it. Wonderful show, Bob. But once again, he asked if he could keep going. Why would I say no? Hello? McFly? Is anybody home? No, I'm going to show you a few photos from that night presented here in the book, The Legendary Toad's Place, the unbelievable legendary music venue. Let me show you a few photos, if I can, from that night. We're going to see Bob Dylan, Greg Allman, the Village People, Tower of Power, Gold Record, Marshall Tucker Band, Signed Promo, Ricky Lee Jones, Joan Jett, and Eddie Money. Let's check it out. And yes, my autograph is also down in the dressing rooms. You guys know that, right? Just That's why you're here, my connection to Toads. And no, I unfortunately was not working that night with Big Tank for the Bob Dylan show. Just to show you some photos from the book, legendary photos. Again, fans, if you don't go out and get this book or get it on audio, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. And I apologize for the cussing, but unbelievable night. I just picked this up probably about, I don't know, a couple of months ago at the most. This was written and released, I believe, in 2022. So go out and purchase this book if you haven't done so already. And I hope you were able to see some of those photos here on Chaos Corner. And so there he was, back on stage at 11:15. Nobody knew it, but he was just getting warmed up. The third set went on for an hour and 15 minutes. For the second time, the band played Political World, his latest single. They would do it a third time that night, adding new verses each time. After the end of Been All Around This World didn't come out just right, Dylan cheerfully told us, "We're just working on the endings tonight." He and his bandmates sometimes huddled between songs, apparently working out what to play next. Talk about free form. When a voice from the front row called out for Dylan to play Congratulations from the Traveling Wilburys album, Dylan grinned and turned his back to the crowd to show his bandmates the chords. Wow. Initially, as I get back to it here, they happily fulfilled the request. Dylan abided by another shouted request for Joey, his tribute song to the gangster Joe Gallo. Initially, Dylan resisted, saying, "We'll be here all night if I sing that one," but then he relented after noting, "I ought to do it. God knows we don't have many heroes left these days." And how about this for a cover song? Also by request that night, Dylan delivered his own version of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark. He followed that with another cover, Chris Christopherson's Help Me Make It Through the Night. I went down to the dressing room during yet another intermission and asked Dylan what everybody else was wondering. "Well, how you doing? Where are we going from here? Can we play another set?" he asked. "Yep, not a problem," I told him. "We'll take care of it on our end." I didn't say anything else because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I was kind of afraid to talk to him. I don't think Dylan and the band had planned it this way. They just wanted to get ready for their tour. At one point, Dylan was walking back upstairs with his band and said to one of them, "I can't believe they're actually paying us for this practice session." But to his fans, it was a gourmet meal made in heaven. The fourth and final set began at 1 a.m. and lasted until 2:20 a.m. We had to close the bar at 2 a.m. because of the state laws here in the Constitution state, the nutmeg state, if you will. But we didn't have to shut the club down entirely because we had the top brass from the New Haven Police Department on hand enjoying the show with the rest of us. Nobody was going to bust us. We just had to collect all the drinks from the crowd. And before I get on with the rest of the story here on Chapter 5, here's Dylan's complete set list from his night at Toads on January 12th, 1990. I'll try to do this in order. Walk a Mile in My Shoes. One More Cup of Coffee. Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35. Trouble No More, the Muddy Waters cover. Been All Around This World. Political World. Where Teardrops Fall. Tears of Rage, the band cover song. I Dreamed I Saw St. Augustine. It Takes a Lot to Laugh. It Takes a Train to Cry. Everybody's Moving, the Glenn cover. watching the river flow. What was it you wanted? Oh, babe, it ain't no lie. The Elizabeth Cotton cover. Lenny Bruce, I believe in you. Man of Peace. And across the borderline, John Hyatt, Ry Cooder, and the Jim Dickinson cover. The second set for that night, leopard skin pillbox hat. All along the watchtower. Tight connection to my heart. Has anybody seen my love? Political world again. What good am I? Wiggle wiggle. Stuck inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. Paid the price, the Moon Martin cover. Help me make it through the night. The Chris Christopherson cover. Man in the long black coat. Congratulations. Dancing in the Dark, the Bruce Springsteen cover. I heard that. Lonesome Whistle, the legendary Hank Williams cover. Confidential, the Sunny Night cover. In the Garden, and Everything is Broken. As we move on to the third set that night at Toad's. So long, good luck, and goodbye, the Weldon Rogers cover. Where Teardrops Fall, Political A World for the third time, Peggy O, I'll Remember You, Key to the Highway, the Charles Seeger cover, Joey, Lay, Lay, Lay. That's right. Not bad, huh? I Don't Believe You, She Acts Like We Have Never Met. When Did You Leave Heaven, the Jimmy Scott cover. Maggie's Farm, Been All Around This World, In the Pines. Highway 61 Revisited, Precious Memories, the John Wright cover. And then, of course, Like a Rolling Stone, the GOC's A Complete Unknown. What a set list from that night. A mere practice session for almost 4.5 hours. I mean, does it get much better than that? Because I don't think it does. What a legendary night. Koplik, who, like me, had expected Dylan would play just one set that night. He was sitting in the Skybox VIP seats with his family as the show began. I never expected a 4-set show that lasted so many hours, he remembers. I left during the third set because my kids were fast asleep. With Brian there, I knew Dylan and his team were in good hands. Mike Lapatino, our old buddy Lappy, from WPLR's Afternoon Drive, obviously he was the DJ, he recalls it was great because he sounded like Bob Dylan, like what you'd hear on his records. He doesn't usually sing that way in his concerts. And the way he was joking around, you realize this guy's funny. He's got that New York Jewish sense of humor. Now, I believe it was talking about 3 sets here. I said 3 sets, but all those songs were the 4 sets. So let me recorrect myself here. Or correct myself. You guys get it, right? Tomato, tomato, potato, patata. But Lapatino adds the show went on for so long that many people, including Lapatino himself, left before Dylan finished. Well, how the fuck does that happen? How do you leave in the middle of Bob Dylan back then? I'm just asking the question. I know Zim wouldn't have left. That I know. Hey, Zim, how about me giving you the props here on Chaos Corner, huh? Just bring back memories. Again, I appreciate you posting it on Facebook because it reminded me to get down here and get on to Chapter 5 and that infamous night at Toad's Place with Bob Dylan. So I greatly appreciate it, my friend. To quote Lapatino still, I probably stayed around until about midnight. That was the witching hour for me. I had kids and my wife had to leave for work early the next day. Here we go. Dylan's final song, as I just stated, was Like a Rolling Stone. Alan Light of Rolling Stone magazine wrote, though his voice was starting to show signs of fatigue from its arduous workout and the audience was exhausted, it was a final exultant moment. As Dylan departed, he threw his harmonica into the crowd and even slapped hands with the folks in the front row. Light noted that Dylan was a year away from his 50th birthday. Now, this is January 12th, 1990. You do the math. Here he was in close contact with his fans once again. It was an awe-inspiring performance, as close to a comprehensive retrospective as Dylan is ever likely to offer on stage. What an amazing night. Again, I wasn't working that night, but this book is an incredible read. Guys, go out and get it. The history, a stone's throw away here from Chaos Corner in the greater New England tri-state Northeast area. In New Haven, where we had the old New Haven Arena, the New Haven Coliseum, the Oxford Ale House, the Agora Ballroom. I mean, it really was a lot of competition there on York Street and in the area. The Great American Music Hall, Broadway, Cutler's Record Rack. I mean, on the campus of Yale. No, not Skull and Bones, but the campus of Yale. And now we're in 2025. This is the 50th anniversary for the famed music venue this year. I've probably been there myself. I want to say probably between working there and attending shows and dance parties and just hanging out with the people, my people. I don't know. This may not be an exaggeration either. Probably 500 times. So as we move on from Dylan, we will go into chapter 6, which includes Bowie, Johnny Cash, Little Richard, and more. Now, we covered the first 4 chapters here on the channel, and now that we're finished with chapter 5, I'll give you a quick review of the first 4 chapters, what we covered, and then I'm going to bounce out of here. And again, I can't thank you guys and gals enough for being here. And drop an elbow on that like button, leave a comment, get us into the algorithm. I'm going to premiere this live in about 30 minutes. So before I get out of here, I just want to let you guys know what we did cover here. We covered chapter 1, The Toad is Born. Chapter 2, Toads Goes National. Chapter 3, which was incredible, Billy Joel, U2, and much more. Chapter 4, which is legendary as Chapter 5, The Stones Roll Into Toads. And of course, we just finished up Chapter 5, Bob Dylan, All Night Long. The legendary Toad's Place. Stories from New Haven's famed music venue. Brian Phelps, Randall Beach. I already read the reviews. It's an incredible read. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it.